and everyone else is banned.
Hey everyone, welcome to the one of. Okay, so we did a pre-show for Hollow Earth Expedition already, which you can find up on the YouTube. But it's been about a month and a half since we actually played this, so we're gonna do a refresher. And Wreckage also had some stuff that he wanted. Like world building we were going to do via roles at some point as well. So we are missing 2 players right now from our crew, but I'm going to go around and introduce everyone. And I realized that I got the wrong bloody page up right now for the BG. Let me just change that real quick. But let's introduce everyone, and you will need to actually like say hello this time, Graham.
Because, why are you talking to me?
Because you never say anything when I say, and this is Graham, and then you just stare at me.
Hey, everybody, I'm here, okay? So when I don't say hello, you'll know.
Oh, that was Graham. We have Frank as well.
Yo, how you guys doing?
And Jacob is also in the house today.
Yeah.
And then we have our GM, Mr. Wreckage.
Wreckage mad.
Smash.
So
nice.
yeah, as we said before, we have a there we go. That's better. We actually are missing 2 people. We're missing Caleb, and we are also missing Curtis. But you know what? Screw them fools. They're on their own. They are on their own.
And if Caleb doesn't get here by the time it would come to him, and it will come to him, there will be
the prosecution will
blood.
rest.
Their balls on his head.
Consequences will never be the same.
That's right. I even made a nice sheet for everyone, you know? A nice sheet.
And I mean, 2 weeks ago we said, everybody good for today? And he was like, yeah.
He's wasted your time, Dave.
That's all right. But you know what? It's
my
okay.
God, best picture.
Some people are just, you know, whatever. So, that some people just have stuff to do. So, you know, and to be fair, the reason why we haven't done a lot of die party stuff, as I mentioned in the last episode that we had for Wrath of the Minotaur Season 1, Season 2 starting on Saturday, by the way, FYI, everyone playing at home. The reason why is because I've been in Australia doing visa shit because I changed my job.
Australia.
Yeah, which
And
put
also
it.
holidays, which
Yeah,
meant that
holidays.
if
You know.
could, everyone else would rather fucking hang out with their stupid families and pretend not to be not racist and Bible thumping or whatever. Holidays are fun.
We're Italian, you racist.
You can tell that Wreckage really enjoys the holidays.
Oh yeah, favorite time of the year.
All right, so oh, by the way, Happy New Year's, everyone! It's 2015 today. Is the 1st of this, January when we're doing the stream. So, yay for us and yay for you.
We're ringing the new year with a brand new game that will be long running and consume our lives and our waking thoughts and haunt our dreams.
Exactly. So,
To get us all started off, since it's been a month and a half, if you're playing at home, and for us ourselves, one of the most useful things we could do at this juncture is to re-go through our characters, names, stats, backstories, etc. So with that in mind, why don't we pick it up with Dave? Why don't you start us? And then we'll go through until Graham, and after Graham it would be Caleb, and if he's not here by then, that balls thing that I mentioned will happen.
He's practically dead at that point.
well,
He's
this.
dead to us, to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Let's hope. Okay, so a few things right now. I've got a second streaming PC set up for the first time, and I realize I don't have a PDF reader on it just yet. So I'm gonna just use the old one that I have. I don't think I changed it since the last time we did it, so it should be okay. So I will be playing a lovable scamp by the name of Rex Holt, who is a a PI who is also a veteran of World War One, and I say veteran as in he got, struck by. Well, he was in the vicinity of a landmine when it went off, and poor Rex Holt has been left lame as a result. So, being, coming back from the war, he had very little that a lame man could do. I mean, there's only so far that a pension from the army can take you. So, he had to find work, and basically he used his asset, which is his investigation skills and the fact that he can remember absolutely everything. He has a photogenic, or is it photographic? It's photographic.
It's total recall.
Yeah.
Photographic.
It's photographic memory, so basically he can remember anything at all in the game at any point as long as he's seen it. He's pretty much just really disgruntled with the world. He's basically a PI that's willing to... He solves a lot of crimes, but at the same time, those crimes don't necessarily pay the bills all that much. So basically, Rex Holt is a really good PI, but he's willing to bend the rules in order to, feed himself, I guess is appropriate. So
he's very noir. Then in a noir, the detective is always just barely scraping by.
Mm-hmm.
He only has 3 bullets in his 6-shooter revolver because he can't afford the other 3. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Every time he walks by, there's slow jazz piano music.
Well, it has to be slow jazz because he can't walk very fast at all. In terms of
Exactly.
in terms of actual movement speed, he will have the lowest movement speed physically possible within the game. Oh wait, no, he's one off. He's one off from the slowest you could possibly be. He is a 2.
Are you saying he rolls? It's lays down sideways and rolls towards wherever he's going?
Maybe.
That'd be fast.
That would be faster than walking.
That'd be faster than walking. He has a cane. He has a walking cane, if that gives you any idea. He used to...
Pneumatic memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Rex Holt.
Because when you say pneumatic memory, I have this envision in my mind of tiny U's in your brain, and they have the
Like pulling
files of your
levers and
memories.
shit.
And they have all those pneumatic tubes that you send checks through.
Oh,
That's how
okay.
they deliver memories.
Yeah.
I've
Is
never
that
actually-
how it really is, guys?
I've never actually seen one of those things being used in real life. I can only assume that they are incredibly impressive. Hence, Rex Holt's mind is incredibly impressive. So.
You get them at banks, and they also used to. Fun fact, while we're here, back during the era that we're in,
Which
they
is the
didn't have
1930s.
cash registers in department stores. Instead, all of the money was in a vault, and if you needed change from a purchase, they sent the tube with the amount of change they needed to the vault room, and the vault room would send back the change. You'd have to sit there and wait for the pneumatic tube system for your change.
Hey, well, I guess it stopped people from robbing places all the time, right?
No, there was still a bunch of robberies.
Yeah, there were so many robberies. Oh my god.
So much robbering. Robbering. All right, why don't we move on to Frank? Frank, why don't you tell us about your character, abilities, backstory, demeanor?
All right. Archidahorn. Archibald Edmund Strayhorn, my bad. Archibald Edmund Strayhorn, Arch, was another World War One, I guess. He kind of got co-opted into it, but he was a really young journalist, a little bit underage, who wanted to kind of cover something awesome. He wanted to cover something that would change the world. He's like, well, World War One, hell yeah. Grabs a notepad, pencil, clothes in his back, runs off, and then just is in the shit. Hates life. Everything is awful. There's trench warfare. There's gas attacks. There's everything terrible. He ends up on the front lines, and yeah, I dropped the picture in there,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, so eventually he kind of just stays there because he doesn't really know what the hell he's doing, and he just witnesses all these horrors all the time. It kind of cracks him a little bit, and yeah, so he survived barely. He's a bit of a fighter. He was able to hold his own, and he got out. He can't really write anymore. All he does is like really just dark, depressing poetry, and he's kind of in this weird halfway sort of point in his life where there's a bunch of different paths he can go towards. Out of context, I'm kind of trying to lean him towards like turning into a Punisher type person who's just completely anti, like, warmongers and people that create just these horrible World War situations. But depending on how this goes, you can kind of go any which way.
Yeah.
What out of curiosity, what nationality are both of your characters?
Mine is
American.
hardcore American, yeah.
Yeah,
Even
I was thinking,
I'm not much of an
More-
American myself, so it's going to be pretty interesting to play a character like that. But...
you're just gonna play every stereotype, Dave. That's all. That's what we hope. for.
Focus on the noir aspect.
Yeah. Mhm.
Noir detectives weren't patriotic or nationalistic, so they're really just guys who
Mhm.
happen to be American.
All right.
So
but-
yeah.
Tell me more about
Yes.
your character, Frank.
As he's got pretty average intelligent stuff. He's pretty tough. He can survive. He never had really formal army training, although he ended up doing a little bit of first aid. So he doesn't really use rifles as such. He tends to use shotguns and pistols and things that's hard to fuck up with, and melee stuff. But that said, he did survive a bunch of years in the trenches, so he can hold his own. He's a bit of a fighter.
How
And he's kinda
long
trying to
was your
figure out-
character in the war for? Do you know?
I haven't really figured out. I want to give him a couple of years, like long enough to be a veteran, like a hardcore veteran.
Yeah.
But
If you're American, you only could have had a couple of years. The Americans
Yeah.
entered the war late.
But the thing
Yeah.
is that I'm thinking he would have entered it early because he wanted to report on it before America officially joined, and that's kind of how he got sucked into an English squad. In fact, because one of his secondary weapons, a Webley, he took from a battlefield from a guy who got killed. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking he would have left early and then just got stuck in the trenches and like, well, I can't leave now, and then like, oh god, this is horrifying.
Yeah, my guy Rex was basically there for all of 5 minutes.
So
Yeah.
oh well. Okay.
So that's why I asked, because I was like, oh, okay, so your guy had actually been in the war. Mine was just walking through the war and got injured.
He was
sent back.
he was in there long enough to be completely disillusioned about pretty much all things military.
All right. Yeah.
And yeah, like he's
Well,
it's all
were you a
just like,
civilian reporter? Is that what that is?
Yeah, well, he was trying to be he wasn't an official civilian reporter. He was just a kid that ran out there trying to become a civilian reporter, and just got sucked into the whole thing.
I suppose
So-
they wouldn't have asked for press passes back then. They're like, I'm here to report on the war. Oh, okay.
Hey, you got your own pencil, right? Yep, you're in. So, but yeah, so he survived. He saw all that awful, terrible crap, and he's a little bit scarred, a little bit messed up, a little bit broken.
And his skill set?
Skill set, mostly fighting, mostly athletics. He still writes poetry. He's a little bit sneaky. He has some medicine, and that's about it.
I love how
Nothing too
that's his
crazy.
skill set. It's like, yeah, poetry, man.
Well, the thing is, that he like went to school to be a writer, and now he just can't. He can't force himself to write anymore. It's all he has, just this useless, crappy poetry that no one wants to read.
Oh, what are your attributes? What can you just shout them off?
Attributes: body 4, dex 3, strength 3, charisma and intelligence are 2, willpower 3.
Huh.
Got a health of 7, move 6, perception 5, initiative 5, defense 7, stun 4.
Yeah, yours is pretty rounded. Like, basically, I just stat dropped into intelligence, so I've maxed out my intelligence score. So my score is body 2, dex 3, strength 2, charisma 1, because he's an asshole. Intelligence 5
Sure.
and willpower 2. On top of that, I also took calculated defense, which allowed me to use intelligence as a defense, and that gave me the secondary attributes of perception 7, initiative 8, defense 7, stun 2, and health is 4, with my move speed being 2. It was originally 4, but it's 2 because I took lame as my
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't actually take a flux. I couldn't really think of one that fit him roleplay wise.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know, because I mean the stuff I want, like completely just enraged about all like people that cause wars, doesn't really fit a lot of stuff. So,
Yeah, Pregame brings up a good point. I basically made Dr. House. So, yeah.
Dave.
My bad. Yeah. So, I mean, like, you picked some skills. What were they?
Hang on, let me pull that thing back up. I was trying to get into the. All right, my skills. I've got firearms, athletics. Firearms is 8, athletics 5, medicine 4, melee 6, arts 4, but it's writing.
You had to specialize in the art, right?
Yeah, I had to special. Well, you take the art and then you specialize in the one part of the art. And for me, the art was the writing shitty poetry. I just didn't have enough room for shitty poetry in the skill box there.
Okay.
And then stealth, a little bit of stealth.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I got
picked
about a 5 on stealth.
empathy, which is 9, firearms 6, specializing in pistols to push up to 7. Larceny is 5, survival is 6, investigation is 8, and medicine is 6.
Okay.
Not to skip around too much,
Yeah.
but never mind. Sorry,
I realized I
reason.
didn't elaborate on what my character's skills and stuff were. So
Yeah. All right. Well, Dave, what kind of weapons your guy?
I'm using a PPK pistol,
All right. Small pistol.
small
I think.
pistol. Yeah, I've got it loaded with what type of ammunition did I say?
Wood.
Solid metal. No,
Solid.
solid. Oh yeah. His PPK is like custom made, by the way. It's like the one expensive thing that he has. So it's very
Okay.
iconic to look at. It's like ivory grip with a snarling wolf head embroidered into it.
Embroidered grip. Kinky.
Yeah.
So-
I don't actually think I put down what type of ammunition I'm using.
I think there's
uses
yeah,
8
just
ammunition.
uses
That's it.
regular bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no special.
I think it's
bonus
like
stuff for
38,
pistol stuff.
3.8, 0.38 or something like that. I can't remember what it
Yeah.
was now.
So-
Anyway, yeah. I guess, yeah. What about you? What are you using for weapon? You said shotguns, right? Yeah, trench gun or
Main
something.
weapon's a trench shotgun, which I'm using the stats of a regular shotgun in the original hex book,
Yeah,
but I'm just calling it a Chester 1912.
Yeah.
He's using slug rounds just because they're extra badass. So I don't get any cone bonus because the cones are going to be a pain in the ass to actually figure out, and they do 1 extra damage. But and then his secondary 2 is he's got a Webley Mark 1 British pistol that he took from it's a service pistol of a guy who kind of shoved him on the front and then got blown up. And then back
You
up,
stole
he keeps
Tom
a hatchet
Hanks's
tucked-
pistol. I like it.
No, Tom Hanks had a 45. The Webley's a big old revolver.
Oh yeah, right. My bad. I don't
So-
know guns.
God, Dave. So no, and then he keeps a little like a small axe in his back, tucked in the back of his belt.
Rough. And you're ready to tumble, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's sort of his thing. It's mostly like he's leaning in towards that Punisher type thing. But yeah, so no weapon specializations. I want to be good at a lot of stuff.
Can you or broadly decent at many things? Can you update those question marks in real time, Dave?
No, I can't.
But you are writing them down.
I'm getting people's stats, and next time we play,
Okay.
they will be updated. Yeah.
All right, Jacob. Why don't we go on to your character and his abilities, backstory, etc.
All right. So my name is sorry. Give me a second to talk. My guy is named Derek Thompson. He's an archaeologist, and also I guess I should probably say he's American as well. Just to yay, everybody's American.
I'm not.
Well, okay.
Oh.
We have the one man out. Wah, wah,
We're just gonna be
wah.
screeching freedom the entire time.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's an art. God, it's hard to talk after a while. So yeah, he's an art.
Words.
Yes. No, it's hard to talk. It's hard to talk after not talking for so long.
Okay.
Besides, irritation. All right.
Since
so
the last
yeah,
time we streamed, Jacob hasn't spoken to another
Been
human being.
silent the whole time.
I've been meditating this whole time. Waiting.
He found himself, and then he found himself again, and then he came back to talk.
And then he lost himself, and then he lost his ability to talk.
Yes.
That's funny.
Basically, Derek Thompson, he is an archaeologist, and basically, his father before him was also an archaeologist, and in fact, that's pretty much what inspired him to become one. Because his father would take him across the world on all these excavations and did all these really fucking cool stuff. And so by the time he was like finally going to college or something, he'd already been all across the world and such, and he also kind of thinks he's hot shit. Just to sum it up, he thinks he's hot shit and he's kind of an asshole about it. Because he thinks he's pretty much the already one of the best in the field because of his prior experience.
Is he like renowned?
No, not in the slightest.
Okay, but
No.
has he made any like big discoveries or anything like that would lead him to believe that he's like that?
No. Honestly.
Oh, is he doing one of those just like mindlessly I'm the best things?
Hold
Those are so fun to play.
on. Somebody is trying to climb into my window.
No! You locked me out of my room!
Okay, so he's being robbed by his friend.
Ow, bro!
I mean, well,
Without seeing that happen, that sounds really dirty.
yes, my friend, he is just trying to get into his own room, but so. Yeah.
Your life appears to be endless chaos.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
All right, so
Nothing's ever gonna keep you down.
basically, he thinks he's kind of a cocky ass who thinks he was better than even say his teachers in college. Because I think that, as I basically sum it up in his bio, it paled in comparison what I'd already experienced in the field, but having the degree is nice to back up what I say against those dumbasses who have never left a teaching desk for more than a piss break.
So he's more Indiana
Shots
than
fired.
say Professor.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Well,
And,
there may be a dark side.
Ooh.
I mean, also, he hasn't, like I said before, he's not actually renowned in the slightest. In fact, he's been fired from a few dig sites lately.
Yeah.
He thinks it's sabotage.
Can you actually get fired from a dig site? That's interesting. I didn't
From
know that you could, I assume
like,
you get thrown
let-
out, but
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Fired, thrown out.
Wired is this because you are getting paid. When
Yeah.
you're an archaeologist, you know the project has funding, and you are paid for your work, and so you are fired as anyone else is.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he currently thinks it's one of his a jealous colleague stopping him from getting any work and besmirching his good name.
besmirching.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us about your skills set? I mean, you're obviously an archaeologist.
Yeah.
but
So I have a few
what does
points
that
in
look like?
I have a few points in academics archaeology. I have a lot of points actually. I have some points in both athletics and acrobatics, so that anything potentially dangerous he could actually traverse. He has
That's normal.
Yep. He has a couple points in ride in order to make sure that he could like literally, if you need to ride an animal or whatever to get to a location, he needs to know how to ride the animal without pissing it off and then getting trampled.
Fair enough.
Yep. He has survival.
I can just see now
Yes.
you'd be riding
Yep.
fucking like T-Rexes and shit by the few games in.
Oh, do not
No.
critical fail the T-Rex riding. Dear God. That can't end well.
Alright.
It literally can't end well.
All right, seems pretty
he
good
also-
to me.
Also,
more.
yeah, more points. There's linguistics, so you can converse with anybody who lives nearby, any natives possibly.
Phew, we have a face. Thank God.
Yep.
Well,
A face
Wait
that's
a
an
second.
asshole.
necessarily
How much of a
charisma
face?
is
I was gonna say, how much is your charisma gonna do?
Yeah. But also, I forgot to mention he didn't serve in World War I, but because he only became of age at the end, so he basically went through training camp, but didn't actually see any combat. So he does have So he has a couple points in firearms to show that he has training in using firearms. He hasn't really had much practical use for it yet, though.
Interesting. I like that flavor. Was he like a conscription? I assume he would have been if he was like
Yeah.
late to the party.
Actually, was there a lot of people that got conscripted in World War One? I thought there was a ton
wasn't.
of volunteers, though.
There's a ton of volunteers, but there also was some conscription.
Okay.
But
I just want to remind everyone for age sake, it's 1936. If
Yeah.
you were
Yes.
of age, you are at least in your 30s,
Yes.
possibly 40s. So just to keep that general age accurate with.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good.
Now,
Like what I'm hearing so far.
What
Finally.
are you using for weapons?
Oh, he wants to
Oh.
hear weapons.
yes. A Colt his weapon is a Colt M1911.
Shit. Do you have enough strength for that?
Okay.
Yep.
Damn.
All right.
My primary
So wait.
attributes are 2 body, 2 dex, 3 strength, 3 charisma, 3 intelligence, 2 willpower.
Interesting.
Which
Okay.
I guess gives me secondaries of 5 move, 5 perception, 5 initiative, 5 defense, 2 stun.
The 2
Um,
stun seems to be pretty average in
Yeah.
our party, I think.
Yeah.
I got me a 4. I'm doing pretty tough.
Yeah.
But, wait. So nobody
Also-
has anything that can shoot farther than like 20 feet?
No,
30
mine is
feet?
50 feet. So.
Oh yeah, pistols. Okay. Yeah,
pistols.
I got a 50-foot pistol. So.
Also, I forgot to mention he has 2 talents. Charismatic, which gives me +1 charisma, so I effectively have 4 charisma,
Ooh.
and
Hey,
bold
you
defense,
got a face.
which uses charisma instead of I think the dexterity for defense.
Fuck yeah. What is your secondary attributes then work out to be?
I could have sworn I integrated with defense. Defense is body plus dexterity, so it'd be body plus charisma. Oh yeah, that's right, because I forgot to add the +1 from charismatic, I think.
Yeah.
So he would have 6 defense instead of 5.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
That's pretty good.
We got a face. Awesome.
We got a face.
face
Party
that can shoot.
complete. We have a face. All right.
Also,
Somebody
he has
got
the-
a shoot face.
as you guys probably guessed, his flaw is that he's vain.
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
nice. Is he usually like staring at himself in whatever puddle and mirror he walks by?
It's more of a vein of like I guess it's kind of closer to overconfidence, but
So
he's definitely-
Jacob, here's a good question for you. If you got a scar on your face, would you be upset, or would you think that would make you look more manly?
probably me. He probably would think, this shows that hey, I actually go out and do something. I'm
So
not just
you
sitting
think
on my
he'd be
ass.
like, yeah, more rugged looking now.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Well, vanity might not be the right flaw for you then. Just to remind everyone how
Yeah,
flaws
alright,
work.
yeah.
When they
So I probably would change that to overconfidence then.
Yes, the way that flaws work is that when they do hinder you for something, that's how you get a style point.
I'm gonna be
Alright,
rolling
so-
in fucking
That's good by me.
styling points, man.
That's remind me. I was thinking it was probably overconfidence anyway. So. Alright.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how not often that's going to get you style points, Dave.
Oh yeah.
Uh.
So when I like hobble up a flight of stairs when someone's shooting at me and I get shot,
That's not a style point unless
it hindered me. I
Your
got shot.
right, but it doesn't hinder you unless there's a move check. Like you're as far as
I think that's-
systemically, flavorfully, you're moving with a limp, but systemically, your move checks are only going to come up under certain scenarios. That is when your limp may
All right.
generate you a style point.
Okay.
Anyway, finally, we get to someone who's new to the stream, who hasn't been exampled at all at any point in any previous video. The one, the only, Graham Morden.
Grey Dizzle.
Do tell us all the tale of your character.
Everything?
Start in 3rd grade. Then just
Start
go
with
forward.
character gen, then tell us some of the backstory. You can go up to
June
the
12th, 1901.
Ooh.
It was a dark and stormy night.
It was a blustery Tuesday, if I recall,
That works.
when Francis Conrad Jackson was born in a dark and dingy free clinic in Hackney, a kind of seedier area of London, England. Fast forward a bit. 1936.
Bam.
That's a bit too much fast forwarding. What
He
about
only has one arm, but you know.
boxing stuff?
Okay. Growing up, the Francis Jackson is his real name. Okay, but now in the game he goes by the moniker Apollo Stingray. expert pugilist extraordinaire.
Nice.
Um,
And you
because-
can't short that. It has to be the whole thing, right?
Because Apollo, yeah, no, definitely not.
Alright.
That's how I sign my checks.
There we go.
Is it like real cursive and shit? I imagine it being like super
yeah.
cursive. Yeah.
Calligraphy.
Curlicues and everything.
Yeah.
Apollo Stingray is a not necessarily tall man, but a broad man.
Guys, hang on. I think I got someone at my door real quick.
Uh-oh.
Keep going though.
When
I
will the
continue?
rest of the world learn to leave us the fuck alone when we're doing this?
People climbing in other people's windows. Doors
To be
needing
fair-
to be answered.
To be fair, this is his room, so I locked him out of his own room.
Well, why did you go into his room and lock the door?
Because there's no other good place to set this shit out.
It's all good. Tell us about Apollo Stingray.
Apollo Stingray is not a tall man, but a broad man. He always keeps his head shaved, and he has a magnificent aerodynamic mustache that graces his face.
Aerodynamics, so what? It's like
And-
it's like peeled back to his face, sort of thing, like or
Yeah, it's greased.
okay.
See, Apollo, he was in London when the war was going on. He was, I guess, would have been too young at that point to actually be in the war towards the end. He never really got into that. He never really went to the war. Never went to, those places, Europe.
Those places, yeah.
Those places.
Freaking foreign parts.
And growing, like when he got to about his 20s and kind of during the 20s, in his 20s, he got into pugilism, which is bare knuckle boxing, and he discovered he had a knack for it, and eventually he built up this magnificent physique, and like when you got so much forearm muscle that the veins kind of pop out a little bit, like that's what he looks like. He's really strong.
See, now that you're describing him like this, I'm imagining Brutus from Popeye.
I
I was imagining Popeye, just with
You mean
those sort of
Bluto?
form.
Bluto. What did I say?
Bluto.
Brutus? Yeah, Bluto.
Brutus?
What the I was like, wait, did they just name him differently in Australia?
They might
No.
have.
And he usually wears like a vest over his magnificent torso. And what else? After the war was over, people got really into boxing. And
they
his
had, like,
fame skyrocketed all around London.
Did they had like what do they call them, like where American soldiers like stayed in other countries and started
Army
That
bases?
didn't start until World War II, or
That
until
didn't-
after World War
okay,
II.
right, yeah.
I don't know anything about that, but it became where I was doing like international matches. I was representing the crown. And like I was fighting Germans and I was fighting, Italians and the French and whoever. Not maliciously, but in fair combat. And
Did you have a
they're-
boxing nickname, or was it literally just Apollo Stingray?
That is the nickname. That's my ring name.
Okay.
His real name is Francis.
Like maybe when I had something like the Thunder or something like that, Apollo the Thunder Stingray. That's what I was thinking you might have had, but yeah. All right, continue. Sorry.
You weren't there, so.
I
Oh,
was
no.
actually no.
And basically all of this, all of this culminated in a fight with the German champion Magnus de Ospeder, and he, along with his cronies in the kind of recently formed, I don't know, when the Nazi Party, or was you going with that?
I don't think
Not
there
yet.
were
Depends on
Nazis
when the
in
fight
World
was.
War
The
One.
Nazi Party may not have existed yet.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
Maybe
maybe-
like the
maybe.
precursors. One of those German nationalist
the
things.
Axis.
Germans from the rough side of town. That would
German
later
cronies
become
is the
as-
important
as
thing.
the Nazis.
Yeah.
German cronies, they sabotaged the fight by cutting off the power and kneecapping me before the fight. But I was still going to do it. I was still going to go in. I was still going to show him who's boss. And I basically made it to the ring and then immediately passed out.
Okay. Did you get a swing
And
in? Did you swing and pass out, or did
No,
you? Okay.
I swung and hit the floor. So that counts. Yeah.
Mm.
Eventually, so I was shamed. I was shunned from pugilistic circles. My woman left me, and got her job back at the cabaret.
With the German guy.
Oh yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. I guess that's eventually it. And right now I am an English hero. You guys probably don't know me because you're American. Never heard of me, but I am a hero of the crown for events that I won't be disclosing here.
Okay, interesting.
Unless Spencer wants me to.
The circumstances of that mission may not exactly be public knowledge, but you have been graciously rewarded.
So
I have been graciously rewarded, and I am back in my game. I'm 35 at this point, and I'm aging, but I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in because I do like those one-handed push-ups, and without my legs touching the ground kind of thing.
Yeah.
And,
Or his hands.
It's
In
all
100 times Earth's gravity.
Yeah, exactly. So now at this point, I go around and I'm very cross with Germany at this point, quite cross. And so all of my skills have to do with athletics, brawl, and melee, essentially.
So why don't you list off your primary attributes first, and then we can get an idea where your character's going from there.
I have body 4.
Yeah.
Dexterity 2, strength 5, charisma 1, intelligence 2, and willpower 2.
Yeah, you sound pretty much like me, except on the opposite side of the fence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so what does that make for your secondary attributes then?
Move 7,
Whoa!
perception 4, initiative 4. Yeah, move 7. Initiative 4, passive defense 4, defense 6, active defense 1, stun 4, health 6.
Health 6, yeah. Everyone seems to have pretty low health.
It's just kind of the way it is. Don't worry about it.
I think.
So what are your
I got a
skills
7.
then?
Athletics 7, brawl 10, melee 7, intimidate 4, survival 3, gambling 4, firearms 3, medicine 3.
Gambling. I like it.
Yeah, I have a little bit of gambling.
Okay.
That's what I was doing after my fall, and I was like surviving by, just kind of fighting in illegal matches out on the docks and using that money to try to gamble to try and get more, trying to support my mother,
Okay.
who's old and elderly.
Yeah, and what about your flaws? What are you taking?
I technically have a flaw that's intolerance towards Germans,
Okay.
or whatever it's called. I'm not really sure what it's called.
Which he performs admirably and to the max,
Maximum.
Okay.
to the limit, to the wall.
Also, I can't speak with or I'm not going to attempt to speak with an accent the whole time. And so, you guys know when you know somebody with an accent and you're with them a lot of the time and you kind of forget that they have an accent. That's what it's like.
So is it kind of like how you guys forget I have an Australian accent? Because,
I am
yeah.
constantly aware of your goofy, backwards Australian
I'm constantly
accent.
reminding you of your accent.
Yeah,
But,
I like to think that I don't have an accent, but then someone will be like, "Wait, where are you from?" And I'm like, "Australia." And I was like, "I knew it."
Australia.
And I was like,
You'd be like, bollocks.
I'm like sitting there sharpening my knife. I'm like, "Yeah, fucking Australia, mate."
Anyway, that's Stingray, and he's really strong.
All right. Well, Caleb's kind of here. He just sort of came online.
His status has changed, but we have heard no words from him.
Yeah.
And this is a whole hour past the time.
Take a vote.
So-
I say nay. My vote only counts. So yeah.
Your votes always count, at least for influencing my ultimate dictatorial decision.
All right. Well,
I vote nay.
we can take a break here and see if we can get him in. If you want to do that, or we can continue with the world building and see where it goes.
I'm not sure I'm worried about it.
Well, actually, that does raise a valuable question, Dave. As this is just a world building, did you want to instill that hourly break system at this point?
Sure. Well, I
could use
feel
a
like
bathroom break.
this is a pretty good. I could use another cup of coffee, to be honest. But
All right, so we will take a 5-minute break here at the hour point. It's not really an hour point, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
But
good breaking
importantly,
point, yeah.
when we come back from this break, the fate of Caleb and the fate of the world will have been determined Yeah. See you then.
All right.
Cool. All right, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, we are back.
And the result of our tense cliffhanger about the fate of Caleb.
Hey man, that doesn't really need to be elaborated on. We're just gonna roll with the people that we have now. I think I'll make some changes to the layout when I get the chance. But basically, we are now rolling with just Curtis. I don't think Caleb will be joining us, which is disappointing.
Well,
but
must also prove his capacity to keep a schedule. No faulting him for today, as he said originally that he wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah.
But here's hoping that it turns out well. For now, we have just the 4 players and the 1 GM against the world. Just us. You and me, baby.
And us, baby.
All right. So, now we can get into some of the non-character-based world building that yet needs to happen. And when I say that, basically I want to have an opportunity for you guys to have some input on the nature of the adventure that you experience. Hollow Earth Expedition is varied and quite different. Now, I know that this group can be rather indecisive, so I have created roll tables. However, I would rather not use the roll tables. I would rather be able to come to a consensus as a group.
I think we already know what we're doing.
Do you?
What are we doing?
Arctic expedition.
Fuck yes.
Oh my.
Okay.
I am.
now-
Easy peasy.
Well, okay. So 2 things.
What were all the options?
2 things. That's the first thing that comes up is you don't take a crippled man to the Antarctic Circle. You just
Yeah,
don't.
we just stick you on a sled.
Not by choice.
Secondly,
We put a snowshoe on your cane.
I have like a tennis racket or something.
I didn't buy one snowshoe. Come on, you gotta think about this stuff.
Secondly, while I like the idea of playing a game where it's like got pulpy, like heat mechanics, because I imagine that will come up at some point.
Not mechanically.
Well,
but
it'd be like,
as
okay,
physical.
you're cold. What are you gonna do about it, sort of thing. More than
Yeah, that'll come up, but it
Yeah.
won't be like, you have 10 heat.
No.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, nothing like that. I like the idea of like fighting against nature. Like I think that's fucking cool. Like I want that to be a thing that we do. But I feel like with we have 2 characters in our group, specifically myself and I think Frank, who don't fit too easily within a science facility. Like, why
I
would...
wouldn't say that. I can get you both to the Arctic if you want to be in the Arctic.
Yeah? I mean, like, I'm
So
just
let
trying
me-
to think of, like, where why a PI would go to the Antarctic Circle.
Let me structure this conversation a little bit more.
Okay, yeah.
The actual things on the roll table, should it come to that.
Well, what do we got on the
Are-
roll table? Yeah.
Well, first we have the general roll table, which is Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia, Australia, United States of America, South America, the ocean, the North Pole, the South Pole.
Okay, Australia,
So,
number 1.
I'd say Middle East or one of the poles. But I think Middle East would be kind of cool. But one of the poles would be kick-ass too.
So I'm not really familiar with like how the culture was for Americans in 1930s, but where is the most sort of foreign place to American in this time frame? Do you know?
So the most
Like
foreign-
culturally foreign, a better way to put it.
One of the Asian
deepest,
countries,
darkest Africa would be sort of the exact sort of thing that was on the shelves at the time. There'd be a bunch of pulpy novels about all of the strange mysteries of the Congo and King Kong and all that bullshit that wasn't really true.
So some sort of like island off the coast of South Africa, or something like that.
In general, those are the type of stories that would be the most perceived foreign, probably second to like the Orient.
Yeah,
Orient.
Orient.
Orient would be second to Deepest, Darkest Africa. They would understand and comprehend the mysteries of the Orient a little bit more.
The only thing that I have a suggestion for this game. Sorry to cut you off there, Jacob, but if we're gonna do a pulpy game, I suggest we make it as pulpy as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, go full hog on this thing. But
It'll be hog wherever you end up.
I mean, that's more of a flavor than a location. I mean, it's just kind of...
Okay.
Yeah,
Jacob, what were you saying? Sorry, before I cut you off.
Maximum pulpicity.
Oh, it was just to make a minor comment. You could also do something like, just like how you said, Deepest, Darkest Africa. Arguably, some stuff in South America would be the same, like, say something in the Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon stuff's still pretty blank.
Anything to do with, like, Mayans or Aztecs, like those kind of ruins.
I'm not a 1930s American. It's only my guess that the foreignality of places would be ranked Deepest, Darkest Africa, Orient, Amazon. Like, that's just me. I wouldn't even know.
So
they could probably interchange quite easily. Depending on who you are.
So Graham, why did you just throw out Antarctica straight away? Like, what's the reason?
It's in the book. It was more of a joke.
Well, and also, you guys really wanted to do the Arctic fiasco, so
Yeah.
that was a safe assumption on his part.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fucking a great idea. Like, I don't know. And plus, there's the whole, like, isn't in the lore there's, like, on both poles there's an entrance to Hollow Earth? Is that, like...
Yeah, that's the idea, but that's
Something that
may
your
or not be
characters
true.
do not know, but technically,
Oh, well,
I mean, there's entrances to the Hollow Earth everywhere.
Yeah.
You have the capacity to end up in the Hollow Earth pretty much no matter where this adventure takes place.
Okay.
You also have the capacity through your own choices to not end up there if you end up focusing entirely on, the politics of the situation and avoid
Punching Nazis.
accidental.
Bunch of Nazis.
Been there.
Been there, done that,
I mean-
got the swastika.
Consider also that Egypt,
Ooh.
pyramids, those sorts of things. That's part of.
That's
I
why
mean,
I was
for
saying
specific
Middle
places,
East
you
would be
have,
cool.
the Tibetan Mountains. You have Egypt.
Any-
Those are then on the roll table for the specific location afterwards.
I hate to say it, but, like, I just came off a fucking massive binge of Far Cry 4, but, somewhere where it's, like, Tibetan would be sweet, because then you get, like, the jungle, like, right next to, like, the snowy peaks and stuff, which I feel like
I
might
do
cover
think-
both things.
Tibet would be a good middle ground because you got all that. It's the Asiatic sort of stuff too. You have all the monks and monasteries, and you can do all the crazy shit. And there were a bunch of Lovecraft stories set in like the Himalayas too.
Of course, they are the Himalayas. They are.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that any place that has like Greek or Roman, any place that had a civilization is kind of like mysterious.
Plus, we can hire Sherpas, so that's always fun.
Yeah, and then we can get
Any-
the trade by
Do
hired
you to
Sherpas.
afford that?
What was
I
that?
have $11.50, so I can hire like an hour's worth of Sherpa.
No, that to them, that's
That's
like
okay.
fucking a year's
15.50.
salary, man. I don't know.
I
Like,
don't know how much that. Yeah.
Well, actually, there's no international exchange right now, so you would have to you'd have to go to a government in Asia and buy some gold and then take the gold to the Sherpa. That's my thoughts on it.
Or we
The
can
Sherpa probably doesn't accept dollars.
bring
Well, fuck that
bring
Sherpa.
them a head of cattle or something. I don't know.
Just
Yeah.
the head, not the rest of.
I would have to figure out what the Sherpa's charging if it came to
A
that.
head of cattle literally means one cow, Frank.
I know. I know. What it means. It's just funnier if you just bring them a head. Hey, I've been logging this for a while. You guys want it? It's like
Oh
money for
man,
you, right?
someone else needs to carry this cow head. I'm crippled.
It smells funny.
It's bleeding on me.
Jacob, what are your thoughts on setting or location?
Honestly, I'm not one to particularly care, but I do think the Himalayas actually would probably be a good idea. Not Himalayas, Tibet. Mostly just because, as he said, there is a bunch of good mini locations there that we can go from one or the other.
Yeah.
All right, there's a thought.
So I'm gonna say Himalayas or Middle East. Those are my two.
Yeah, I'm with the Himalayas as well. I think.
Yeah, I
Why
think
don't we all do two, just in case? So
Yeah,
Frank,
I'm gonna
Himalayas, and Middle East.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
You
I'm
got
gonna go.
3 people for Himalayas. That's a strong Himalayan vote.
Yeah.
But,
I'm currently Himalayas or South America.
Well, fuck it.
Also
I'll go
Australia.
Himalayas in Australia. What up? Bring it.
Australia.
Australia.
Okay, so
How-
good things for Australia. Aboriginals have a very
Yeah.
deep folklore and stuff like that. They have
I
unique weaponry
swear.
and stuff like that in Australia as well, like for the Aboriginals and stuff. So there's a lot there that could potentially make a really good pulpy.
Where the entrances to the Hollow Earth are in Australia.
Well, you got like Ayers Rock. You've got like, you got plenty of places. You can even use the Great Barrier Reef. Maybe like, you can do whatever.
Oh,
Plus-
believe me, I know all about your country. Maybe even more than you.
I don't know about that. Plus all the deadly animals too, which I think would be great just to play against.
But the thing is that there's also deadly animals in the Hollow Earth. I mean, that's
More deadly animals.
Yeah.
deadlier animal. I mean, it'd be weird to go from like deadly animals to deadly animals, less than to go from like angry cultist Middle Eastern or Tibetan people to crazy dinosaurs.
They have
Yeah.
drop bears in the Hollow Earth that are just bears, but still
That drop on you. Yeah.
Yeah, and
They
then,
make
and then,
webs,
and then
too.
they break your tent, and then they offer you Bundaberg rum. It's really weird.
Graham, are you here?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Himalayas or perhaps a secondary vote?
I'm gonna vote Middle East.
No, we can't go to Detroit.
Well, he
That-
did
that-
say
that
the
is
Middle
that is
East.
what the fart,
I mean, like,
farting noise means Detroit, right?
Oh god.
Uh,
Detroit.
do you have a secondary
East
vote? Yeah, everybody
Or
did.
South America, Amazon.
All right. That's still the strongest vote for Himalayas at the end of that there, although we have technically 2 for Middle East and 2 for Amazon as well.
one for Australia. Don't forget that.
Well, I mean, 1 is right out,
You almost convinced me on Australia, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff that you could make a pulpy game on in Australia. So
Believe me, I know. But it sounds like the strongest vote is for a Mysteries of the Orient, but more focusing on Himalayan and monks and Tibet and that sort of sub area.
Guys, hang on a sec. I got an emergency message coming in.
Okay. Is the baby on the way?
Oh, Black Mesa. Gotcha. All right, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just throw that out there. Yeah. So Himalayan, Tibetan.
Yeah, sorry. I had this really weird freaking thing come over my headphones, and I thought it was it was the emergency disaster. Like beep beep doot doot doot. It's like, wait, what the hell?
we're already playing
it was
Hollow
Skype.
Earth. You don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah. So, all right, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick. I won't interrupt again unless it's something
Okay,
funny.
now I do need you guys. You're all in the roll 20. I need everybody to roll some stuff. Pardon me. I need everybody to roll a 1d5.
That's a really weird die to roll.
But
A D5 is just a D10 with the numbers double.
Yeah.
Well, it's the electronics, so I can roll any dice that I want. I can roll a d13.
D1 3/4.
Hey Frank, you should change your name in the roll 20 too.
Oh, balls. I always forget that.
Yeah. Hey Rude, what up, man?
Oh.
Just playing some
Take it away.
Hollow Earth, or getting set up for Hollow Earth at least.
Archdrathorn.
And I'm also going to,
Jacob, we need a roll from you, bro.
No.
yeah,
Hello?
I need you to roll a
Wait.
1d5.
The
In the roll
hell?
20.
No, I think
When you
I
drop
think
from
my roll-
Skype, you also drop from roll 20, so you have to rejoin.
Huh.
Just
All right,
That's weird.
fine. And now you can roll that 1d5.
2. Oh.
Wow, you all managed to roll it. I need you all to roll a
Sequential.
1d5 again because
5, 4, 3, 2.
you all managed to roll a different one, and it's the number that wins that is the important one.
What do you mean wins?
Hmm?
Well, it gets more than one result. All right, 2's coming out strong on this second roll.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
And back to
2.
big 5s.
Another 4.
All right, so 2 wins that one. I don't tell you what that means.
Ooh.
It's a 2. But we now have to roll again.
So
This time-
it's Australia.
I need you to roll a 1d8.
This is a fiasco playlist.
You die
Wow,
horribly.
3 just destroyed that roll,
Yeah, man, that's pretty good.
Fuck yeah.
which is perfect. Oh, you guys are going to love that.
Are you
Yeah.
just
Cookies
looking at a
and
fiasco?
hepatitis.
It sounds like a fiasco playlist.
I
am not
reckon.
looking at
I
a Fiasco
reckon.
playlist. I made these roll tables in expectation for this pregame. You guys are
Uh-huh.
generating some things about the story that were essentially interchangeable.
Uh-huh.
I have a feeling that Rec is just like, oh, that's amazing. That's exactly the one you needed to get the story that I'm not going to change.
No, I had no idea that you were going to get number 3 in that, which is a specific result that I can't remember.
It's all at cruise.
All right, what are we rolling next?
I need you to roll. Finally, I need you to roll each of you a d12.
Man, these are some weird ass.
You're rolling the number of things that are in the list.
No, I get that,
I mean-
but like I'm just trying to imagine a D12 in my head.
I have them.
Yeah, I have one.
D12, I
They're
have.
coming.
No, yeah, I know that D12 is probably like one of the more common ones. I don't know why I said it. But for some reason, I had a brain fart and I just imagined 2D6s stuck together. I'm like, whoa.
They're pentagonal faces.
You guys have to try d12s again because no winner was achieved.
Oh, lordy.
Be here forever.
Lot of mercy.
I don't think it'll take forever.
12, 12.
Wrong one.
2 12s.
ROLL.
Perfect. We're going with 12s.
1 2, not 1 2 1 2. What the fuck?
No, you got a dot point in there.
There we
You're
fucking
probably
go.
giving him the number for the item he's going to order from the pizza delivery because he can't decide. You know what, Krogan? You're a smart man, and I think that's exactly what we're doing here.
I never have trouble deciding from pizza because I always get the same thing.
Why don't we roll
Large pepperoni
2d12 each? Wouldn't that be better? Because then it increases the odds of the number
Yeah, I
coming
kind of
up.
like that idea.
Yeah, sure. Roll 2d12 each.
All right, I have a 1 and a 7.
8 and 5, 12 and 4.
Well, we got 2 8s, so...
That's-
3 and 6.
Oh, wait, no, we don't.
Okay. No, we don't.
We
That's
got
one of
literally no repeats again. Okay,
All
I'll
right,
get to
one more
3
time.
d12 each.
3d12.
All right, we're gonna do 3D. 1 2.
9, 10, 6, 2, 8, 5.
2
9.
9s.
Okay, 9's in there
Hey,
right
we
now.
got 2 9s.
But someone else.
Oh,
the
2
final roll-
12s!
9 and 12 tied. Okay,
Motherfucker.
now,
Everyone do some 1D2s to get the
yeah,
9
everybody
and
do some
12.
1d2s between 9 and 12.
What?
Roll one. 1 will be 9, 2 will be 12.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
1, 2, 1.
Hang on, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done.
Well,
You've done a lot dumber. Trust me.
roll 2
Hang on.
1d2s each.
No, I'm sorry, this is
I'm gonna roll
stupid.
3 D2 just to be safe.
All right, 1 wins finally.
There. That way we have an odd number.
Finally, we win with. Okay, so 9 was the result for that roll. Ultimately, at last.
9 is how many
Okay.
bullet holes you'll start.
I only have 4
How much
health,
damage
so
to
that's
start with?
kind of fucked me. That's funny.
All right. So you guys have just randomly determined some facets of the campaign.
Okay.
So we have our characters, except for Curtis. Fuck him. No, just kidding. He said he wouldn't be here. That's fine. His absence is tolerable. And we have your characters. We have the setting, which is going to be Himalayan and Tibetan, and who knows where it'll go from there. We'll all get you from your locations to China. and from China to Tibet, or some progression of those.
Mhm.
The last thing that's worth talking about is some house rules.
Okay.
Now, in the not die party system, in the Hollow Earth Expedition system, it allows you to roll when you aren't trained in something your base attribute times 2. That is technically in the rules. I am house ruling that because it was bullshit in the last game that I played experimentally with Graham. It just came up all the goddamn time, and that's all people ever rolled, and it was effective. So you can no longer roll. You can make an untrained skill check, but you don't get to double up your base attribute. You just get to roll your base attribute.
Because that's kind of like you can either put 1 point in this skill, or you could have 0 points and double it.
Well, it makes sense in the long term, kind of, because it's not efficient to level up your base attribute. But it did fucking just let without much character progression going on, because we only played like 8 sessions. It was just every time it came up, they could roll it and pretty much succeed, and there was really no punishment for not being trained in anything. So we're house ruling that.
Plus, it allows people to specialize a little bit more. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I want to strongly consider house ruling calculated defense.
Why is
It
that?
very much allows your character to be min-maxed.
Well,
doesn't
not
make
really.
sense.
I mean, like,
Yes,
his stun
completely.
is really...
You've got one stat, and it's giving you everything. That's min-maxing the definition of. However, I'm not just going to do it to you since you've already made your character, but I do want to consider making that adding half of your intellectual stat to your defense as opposed to the entire intellectual stat.
Well, you can't really go half of 5. It doesn't really work.
Sure you can. It'll round up.
So you're saying it's 3 then?
Yep.
Because that's literally no difference from my dexterity.
Okay.
So that means it's
roll
literally no
something.
reason to have calculated defense.
Well, the reverse is just 2 min-maxing, in my opinion.
You get 2 more points in defense.
Yeah, and then you have a really high defense and a really high int, which some of the balance is in, obviously the calculated defense, a lot of thought has been put into the system in all of its talents and those types of feats. It's a dangerous proposition because int builds off of so many things, and typically defense does not build off of int. So with that particular resource, you get a lot of defense.
Surely his leg lowers his defense.
It only lowers his movement, but thematically, it doesn't make sense that he would have such a high defense with.
Well, he's clearly using the cane to deflect bullets. That's what,
Well, yeah,
Well,
something like that.
I'd imagine
Yeah,
if I was
probably
using
lightsaber
if I was using intelligence for defense, it would be stuff like, ducking at the right time, or like maybe putting myself behind something that is reflective, or something that will like.
Those are actual decisions you make in game because there are cover mechanics.
Well, no, I get
There
that.
are-
I get that, but like at the same time, it's like, the other thing I would do potentially is if I didn't have calculated defense, I would probably take another point in intelligence.
One of the things that I was thinking about with when I was looking at all those different kind of defenses and stuff is that your primary attribute's still going to be pretty crappy. So anything that's going to use that check, like if you do something like instead of body, if once you get poisoned, as long as you're not in combat, your body's still going to be a terrible roll.
Yeah.
So pretty much, Dave, what were your attributes again?
2 body, 3 dex, 2 strength, 1 charisma, 5 intelligence, and 2 willpower.
Yeah, anytime Dave's going to have to roll for body or dexterity to do something, he's not going to have that great of rolls. In combat, he'll be pretty good at ducking and covering, but if he trips and falls and tries to soak damage or whatnot, he's pretty much screwed.
Which pretty much sums up my
Isn't the
character
soap
in a
mechanic.
nutshell.
So
Yeah,
there was
um,
one body roll in the entire session that we 8 sessions, and like 2
Oh.
dex rolls. Defense
Okay.
comes up every single session, multiple times a session. Dex and
All right.
body are, they're like Constitution. You roll them when you get poisoned, which is never, almost.
Mhm.
So I'm not so.
So what is your
I-
official ruling here then? Because if you're going to
I'm-
half it, then there's no point in me taking it because my dexterity is exactly the same. So
I'm thinking that if your defense is really good, I mean, surely your attack is not that good, right?
my attack is, let's see, that's what's the attack rating? That's 7.
Well, it's like firearms or whatever it is you're using.
So firearms
roll your
is
firearms,
6
not
plus
the stat
1 for
mod.
pistols, so it's 7. Yeah.
Yeah, he rolls 7. So
Yeah.
he's got 7 attack, 7 defense. He's a monster.
I have 6 defense. I don't know. But of course, I'm trained and all that.
So Graham actually has, his stats into defense. I'm saying that calculated defense kind of breaks the game.
Well, I
as
mean,
it
I
is written.
spent 15 experience points on it, so
I-
like it's kind of like
Well, you spent the same as any of the talents.
pretty
So,
much, yeah.
and you've gained more than.
So are
talents
you doing
typically
it with just the intelligence one, or are you doing it with all the defense swapping stats?
Probably all of them. I haven't looked at all of them.
Okay, so
the
that means
intellect one-
Jacob falls
So
into
many
the same.
things.
Yeah, so
break.
that means I'm going to have to change mine because I have bold defense, which uses charisma instead of dexterity.
Yeah.
All right, and what defense do you end up with?
I have 6 with bold defense, and also accounting for charismatic.
And if you
What's the-
have, well, wait. Now, does charismatic actually give you +1 to the base stat?
Yes, charismatic is +1
Yeah.
charisma.
All right, interesting.
I took tough, which was +1 body, but I didn't take any of the defense talents.
Okay. And if it was halved, you wouldn't take bold defense either.
Nope.
Because it literally, if it's halved and up, yours is what, 4, so you would be down to 2, and I'm guessing your dexterity is what, 2?
My
or 3?
dexterity is 2.
Yeah, so
my
it's
dexterity
exactly
is
the
2.
same. You're in the same boat as me then.
Yeah. Well, those defense things, as they are now, are just stupid. Then they're just.
Well, I mean, like
They-
it's obvious enough that I found it without playing the game, and then I told Jacob about it, and he was like, "Yeah, that's pretty good."
Well, I
And
mean,
then
it
we
allowed
fucking-
me
Well,
to
yeah,
actually
because it
go
lets
for
you.
charisma.
I mean, essentially, from a standard tabletop perspective, right?
Yeah.
One of the balancing features about being super charismatic or super smart is you don't have those points into combat, and yet now
my attack
it just
is
doesn't matter.
4.
Your attack is 4. Yeah.
Yes, because I only put 2 points into firearms.
You have the strongest attack in the game, Dave, since it's also ranged. Graham can
Dave.
punch very hard, but
What's your attack, Dave?
7. So I roll
Your
7
attack
die
rating is
every
7?
time. Yeah.
Okay, I've got one of 5, actually.
But
for
see,
my shot- yeah,
see
5 for
my
firearms.
see I have.
I mean,
took
sorry,
th-
8. My bad, 8.
You got 8. So you're higher
I
than
have
me
8.
then. So.
Yeah, but I have a dexterity of 3 and a firearms of 5.
I have
So-
I basically have firearms at 3, with dex of 3 and specialization in 1 in pistols, which puts me at 7. So
It's your call, Rick. I don't.
I'm
it doesn't
gonna
really
say
affect
that
me anyway,
these
so.
defense talents do half, and you can obviously change it so you don't have them anymore. But they will later on in the game become good again.
how?
Uh,
What do you mean?
as it
Ow,
becomes more efficient to buy it than leveling up your dex.
So why don't you just say we can't take it at character creation?
Well, because that's totally different. Because then later on you become super overpowered, whereas later on it becomes a efficient and balanced purchase. There's a difference.
I don't
So
see how. What can you upgrade your attributes at some point?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you can pay
Yeah,
for
yeah.
attribute. That's one of the expenditures. So you can level up. So because int is your focus stat, it's going to keep going up the entire time you're progressing your character. Whereas buying dex may not be something that you're particularly interested in because it is not helping you in other places. You still want to get your defense up though, and because you wanted to, you've already leveled up your int. Now suddenly half of your int is a good defense boost.
The problem is that he needs to buy int twice to get one
Yeah.
one boost.
Instead of buying it once.
Which will happen eventually. So, I mean, if you don't ever buy it, that's fine. But as it is now, it's just too strong. You become a character who's amazing at combat when combat should be one of the balancing features. Not necessarily overpowering you, but, 7 attack, 7 defense in this system is strong. It's very strong.
The problem is that if your character's good at combat and good out of combat, we should all just be your character then. So we can't really have that.
I mean, that's what the problem with min-maxing is. You're good at everything.
Well, the reason I sort of I looked at this and I'm like, okay, I'm taking a flaw which is basically the most debilitating flaw in the game, basically. I've also got a talent which is essentially me allowing myself to take notes about things in the game. Because that's what it is. It's basically me being able to go like, oh, I took notes of this thing that happened 4 sessions ago, and my character just knows it. Like,
well, it's more than that. As we've described, if you've been in a room, you can at any point ask me, hey, what was in that room? It's more functionality than that. If you forget to take a note down, I remind you that your character remembers blank.
Okay.
It's actually an incredibly strong.
Well, I mean, like, I have no idea what I would do if I had to not take calculated defense. I guess I would take another point in intelligence right now.
Giant
Cripple man. I have
Giant
like a
cripple
fucking. I walk
detective.
around with like a branch as my like.
It's a log.
Tree.
Being a log.
Yeah.
Rex Holt, New York's giant private eye.
Mm-hmm.
biggest private eye.
You want the biggest, you want me.
Well, I mean, like, it's a tough choice. I mean, like, I saw it and I'm like, okay, this is obviously where I'm taking my character. I mean, the other thing that I wanted to do, Rec, about the dog stuff, did you ever come up with a solution for that?
Yeah, well, we discussed my solution to that, and then
It's been a long time. You're going to have to remember.
Okay, so, well, just to sum up, I basically told you how it would be balanced and how it would progress throughout the game. And it was going to eat up, like, all of your points. So you decided that you would rather just get this baseline stuff now and then maybe do the dog stuff later.
Because if I remember correctly, it was based on charisma, right? Charisma's my fucking dump stat is.
It might have been something like that. Like you had to up attributes, and you would have to buy the talent, and it was just going to eat. Like you wouldn't have been able to do even total recall, as I recall. Like you would have had to do everything around the dog, and then the dog would have started out.
Like just like you can be killed by one Nazi, just be like, "Hurrah!"
Yeah, that's what that was the thing. Like if the dog and a Nazi end up in a corridor alone together, the Nazi's going to focus on the dog that's trying to kill him, and he could get killed. You wouldn't lose your ability to tame other animals and replace him, but ultimately you decided that you would rather do this to start and maybe do the animal thing later.
Yeah.
That was your decision as I recall it.
All right, well, I guess I gotta look into my character a little more and change it.
Well, we're going to have a week before we actually start playing, and this is the time to talk about some of the more mechanical stuff to get us back in the head of the system.
Did you ever come up with a rule for taking the average? Like, what are you doing with that? Because I remember you had a problem with it.
Yeah. So, with taking the average, now, Graham, I'd be interested in hearing how you feel about this because he did play in the 8 sessions of that game.
Because
He is a
depending on
GM.
your answer here, it'll change what I do with my character. Because taking the
Yeah,
average
I
was
actually
sort
felt
of the reason
that,
why I went for calculated defense in the first place. So.
I actually felt like Graham, and correct me if this is, we both hated taking the average, but it felt like it did come together a little bit at that final session. It seemed to work out a little bit. What were your impressions on that?
It makes it go faster, and I know why it's in there, but I don't think it meshes with the spirit of role-playing games as I see it. So it's kind of up to you.
So for everyone playing at home, basically taking the average is whatever the average of your 2 rolls are. So if you're rolling firearms, so my average for firearms would be 6, I believe. No, it would be 4.
3.
So, no, that's 7. So,
No, it would be 3 and then rolling 1.
Okay,
you can't take the
average. So basically, if taking the average would be like, okay, so I only need to roll 1 die then instead of rolling 7 die because I'm guaranteed to have an average of 3 passes within the 7 dies. So therefore, I only have to roll 1.
Cool system.
Yeah.
And as it's written, it lets you take the average of your pool instead of rolling. So the idea is if it's a task that you will succeed at 50% of the time, you can just succeed at it. Conversely, if it's going to take more than 50% of your skill, a little bit of luck to succeed, you have to roll, and then it could go really badly for you.
So where did you guys felt that this was a problem? Was it in combat, or was it like doing a skill check? Because they're 2 different things, right? So.
I mean, they function the same way, but you're right that they have different implications.
Yeah. So I mean, like maybe in combat you speed it up because I don't know, maybe you want to speed up combat, but like I feel like doing a skill check, you shouldn't be able to take the average on it unless you had the opportunity to take 20 or something like that, like in D&D, where if you had the time to just spend all the time in the world doing it, you can just succeed, right?
I certainly agree that there's probably no reason to have it on skill checks.
I agree with that too.
The question is about the combat, because it does speed up combat, but from my perspective, it felt like it made combat a little boring, but I also it's really hard.
So it came.
Fail rolls.
We did a very simple scenario, and that's where I came up with I need more defense, sort of out of it, because if you shoot and you don't pass their average for defense, then you just don't hit them, and it's not a case of you didn't roll well. It's just that their defense, they can just average out to beat you every time. And that, to me, was incredibly frustrating. I don't know how it works in, the long scale of it. And you said that a lot of the combat can be fixed by, flanking and, doing things like shooting a chandelier above their head or some bullshit like that.
So, yeah, it does have that secondary thing where you do have a lot of... So it speeds up combat. Combat's very fast.
Yeah.
So there's many turns in a row. And when you're first starting out, coming from other systems where... A good way of looking at it is you get more done in a single turn in other things, whereas in the same amount of time you get the same amount done in Hex. There are many more exchanges of turns.
I see.
And that gives the impression that things aren't happening because you're still programmed for how much of a turn is significant. The significance of a turn is still the same in your mind. I think as you play more Hex, it starts to make more sense. But on the other hand, it does inspire you when you're stuck in those situations where you're not getting anywhere to do something creative. And that's something I appreciate because I often dislike how uncreative combat can be.
Sure.
On
the other hand, now that you're explaining it like this, it does seem like a good idea to be able to take the average, because I feel like without calculated defense, my character is going to go from being one of the strongest to flat out the weakest in the group.
Well, why don't we just not get in any combat?
What was that?
That's true. Why
don't we just avoid combat? I mean, there doesn't have to be combat. Doesn't have to be.
Well,
a
I
role-playing game.
have a feeling
Kinda-
combat's
What
going to
Graham's
come up
saying
at some
is-
point. So.
Well, that's the thing. What Graham is saying is not, I'm not going to put it in there. You always have the option as a character to avoid. Well,
Not
usually
always.
you
attempt
have
to avoid.
Not
you
always.
have the capacity to affect what kind of combat you get into, the circumstances of the combat. You
Yeah.
know,
No, I get
whether or
that.
not
I
it
get that. But like, if I ever, like, what is it? Body plus dexterity. If you're aware of combat, is what your defense is. So it would be 5 for me. But if I'm unaware, it's 2. My defense.
Well, to put this in perspective, Nazi soldiers, the basic Nazi soldier has a defense of 4, and when they were fighting, and they had big attack pools like 7, 6, they were with cover and stuff. They were not hitting the combat was still going back and forth like 8 times. It's not like they got annihilated right away. And that's assuming you, knowing what your defense is, are straight up just sitting behind a table and then shooting back. Whereas you can take the opportunity to maybe get further away or get better cover.
Well, here's the thing. I won't be able to do that.
Negotiate.
Like,
You still don't understand that the mechanics of your flaw are very specific.
I can't
It is
move
not
2
the-
squares. I can only move 2 squares in my turn. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, or 2 feet or whatever it is. Like, it's the distance I can move. It's not like 7. You're basically sprinting around. Like, you will have no problems, Graham. Like, you are the fastest goddamn person on the planet as far as I'm concerned.
You're right. So I will probably do the moving for you.
Yeah.
Jacob, what's your move?
It's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a 6, so.
Yeah. So
It's probably going to change.
I will literally be like the guy who's stuck in cover because if I move, I will get shredded. So
And with your flaw, Dave,
yeah.
your move is what total?
2.
Dave, we'll
Well-
fashion like a little backpack harness for you. I'll put
I
it
was
on your
thinking
fly
that,
bag.
man. I was
Master
thinking
Blaster.
that. Like,
Yes.
Well, on top of even
Oh
without
my
your
God,
flaw, you
Master
would have the
Blaster.
lowest move speed, so that's part of it.
Oh, without the floor, I'm 4. But
Right, which is
I-
still
I-
the lowest
I
speed
built
by-
it. I built this character around the fact that he would have.
Right.
He would
yeah.
be lame, right? So I made it so that he wouldn't have much natural defense, and that he would rely on his wits in order to be
Well, hang
defensive.
on.
So.
Dave, what if can we have the lameness be kind of psychosomatic, and so there's not a physical disability, it's just all in his head. So when the
Nah.
falls,
I still-
That's totally top of the house.
Yeah. It's pretty much like his leg is fucked. So
copy, but I'm trying to think. So that way you could keep your movement speed, you could remove the flaw, but since it's all in your head thing, like I guess it is a house copy. But I'm just
well,
trying to think
don't get me wrong,
like-
Frank. I think it's going to be fantastic to play a character who is limited in the way that my character is. Like I'm ready for that challenge
Yeah.
as far as the player is concerned.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make Rec aware that it's going to be combat for me is literally me going to be behind something because there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for me to move, even within covering fire and that sort of stuff. I'm still not going to be able to move from cover to cover effectively. Like that's pretty
What's
much
your
like
full defense right now without calculated defense?
5. That's
Which is not
3 body and 2 dexterity.
That's not bad at all.
The only reason I say that I wanted 2 more, and the only reason why I did the thing that we did in the combat scenario, we had 2 Nazis, regular Nazis.
Because you just wanted to be able to take the average, pretty much, and feel safer about it.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, right? If we're going to be
Yeah.
doing that sort of stuff. And because it's a pulpy game, I want my dude to like barely make it through every sort of combat scenario. That's sort of how I imagine him as a character.
Here's what I'm thinking at the end of this big, long conversation.
Sure.
One of the things that ended up being a bit problematic in our game and was realistic, but realism doesn't really seem at place in pulp. I think, obviously we're not throwing all physicality and gravity and Newtonian science out the window. But one of the things that
Until
was...
we bring in ray guns. Then it's fucking whatever at that point. Yeah.
One thing that was realistic, but I feel doesn't need to be, is the healing system. Graham, you may remember this. If you got hurt, you were hurt for a really long time. Outside of the Hollow Earth, if you're fighting on the surface, your healing is different because inside of the Hollow Earth, there's like a magical healing field.
Oh yeah, it's got like some sort of super sun in there or something like that.
So here's the two things I'm thinking. If I taking the average out of combat, right?
Yeah.
My biggest worry is that a bad roll is going to wound a player, and then he's wounded for like 3 fucking weeks in game. It's ridiculous. So if I take out taking the average in combat, the other thing that's going to come with that is house ruling the healing system, and I'm thinking something maybe a little video gamey. Instead of just changing the progression of the time frame for healing, because it has a set time frame. The way the system currently works is that you need a med kit to perform first aid. And I'm thinking of maybe changing that to consuming medical supplies for healing. And that way, what?
I actually got a first aid kit just because I knew.
A first aid kit as well.
Yeah, this was going to be a problem.
Well, no, because it wouldn't be 1-to-1. It would be like a first aid kit is an amount of supplies. And that sort of hooks into some of the things that they want you to be doing if you get stranded or lost in the Hollow Earth, which may or may not happen for you, which is there's supposed to also be a whole surviving the wild angle to it, and keeping track of some number of supplies as part of that. And I think that would kill two birds with one stone by making healing quickly possible, but balancing that quick healing by making it a resource based, something that you have to find more of or acquire more of, and at the same time taking the average out of combat would allow you to avoid some of those combat things, but also you wouldn't have to worry about a bad roll in capping a player for 3 weeks.
Walk me through how first aid works real quick. I haven't read the book in a long time.
The current way that first aid works is you need to have a med kit and you need to have a medicine skill roll, and within an hour in game of time after receiving wounds, you can roll your medicine skill, and for each success, a lethal damage turns into a non-lethal damage, and a non-lethal damage turns into no damage. And for the most part, you take non-lethal damage, and for the most part, you take lethal damage in this game. Non-lethal damage is extremely rare.
So did you have any players that were like gimped by the end of the game? Because
I had a player who was pretty much almost completely put out of the game, and if there hadn't been a time skip that happened, like he wouldn't have been able to play for the entire rest of the story. He got shot a whole bunch in one of these fights, and he was basically he would have had like permanent penalties to his dice rolls for in game. It would have been like 2 weeks for him to heal, and then we happened to have a 2-week long time skip.
So how exactly did he manage to get shot so much? Like, what was the scenario around him getting shot?
He
threw a handful of bullets into a campfire.
He was a stubborn player. One of the things about him,
like his character was stubborn, or as a player was.
He was stubborn. I mean, he got shot once, and it was just sort of like he was behind cover, and the Nazis were behind cover, and the Nazis just happened to roll well against him, and he got shot. And at that point, he's taken 2 lethal damage, which is a lot because at level 1 you've got like 5 health or whatever. He's already almost half. And then he didn't change what he was doing at all, like which is to be fair, it was a roll result. That's why he got hit. But then he just kept leaning out and shooting. I think he was doing something careless too, like he was leaning out and aiming, which meant he was out for longer. I remember the scenario of the fight, but I don't remember specifically. I remember thinking you're being really careless.
Okay, so it wasn't like he was moving between cover or anything like that, and he just got fucking gunned down.
It wasn't bad luck. I mean, the first shot was bad luck, and then the second shot was just him being like, "Fuck it, I'm taking these Nazis down," and he ended up with like -4 health or whatever, and was almost gonna die. And then they happened to be in a makeshift med facility at the time. They were fighting out of a medical area,
Okay.
and he healed himself. But they did the first aid. They rolled as much as they could. He was still at like -1, but he was stable. But that also meant he was like a week away from not having penalties to his roll, because when you're in the negatives, you have penalties to your roll.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I feel like the way that I've got my guy built right now, it's like the calculated defense was there for a more thematic reason more than anything. And it also allowed me to stay in the game, but still be able to play a character who is, for the most part, crippled. Right.
Crippled.
So it's more like just allowing me to stay with the party, but not get myself, but still allow me to, play a role that I wanted to play. So I'm not sure how. Like, if you want to change that, then I'm going to have to think about how
Well, I have
I'm
no
going to do that.
worries about you being underpowered,
Mm.
or I wouldn't be considering, or I wouldn't be so critical of calculated defense, because the only worry was how strong you ended up. You were definitely overpowered, that insofar as how much can someone be overpowered in a TTRPG.
Okay.
So I'm not worried, even if we took out calculated defense entirely and you didn't even replace it with anything, your character would be just fine. You wouldn't have to worry, in my opinion.
So does this also mean that you're gimping the calculated attack? Because that is the opposite of calculated defense. It's still, it removes dexterity and swaps it for intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
As it is, yes, that's too strong.
Because that was
and
literally the next
probably
talent that I was going to take.
It's
I
all
think
those calculated
something there
talents are pretty
is-
min-maxy.
Yeah.
I think I could. I think there's a way to just rework those talents into something that's both useful and not overpowered. Something like, for every X number of int, you get 1 dice, but it's not just half. And then it would still be buying a dice. It may not be, but then it may not be cost efficient. You may just want to be buying firearms.
Just buying like firearm skills at that point.
I'll look
because-
at the math in the
Yeah.
next couple of days and see if the math works out.
Because
such
I
that-
agree with you. It is a really dumb talent because it effectively makes, like, it basically, like, as I said, like, it allowed me to play my character without worrying about him just being shit. For the sake of me wanting to
Yeah,
play a
but-
cripple guy.
But
So,
he'd only be shit in combat. I mean, that's the thing. There's
well, no, there's gonna be. I can just imagine it now. There's gonna be one scenario where I just get winged, and then I'm dead because I only have 4 health, right? And that's sort of where the sort of the weakness in my character lies. He's weak in
Glass
every
cannon.
sense.
yeah, but I only
Aside
have
from-
6 health. I mean, we don't have a lot of health.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I've got 7.
I mean, relatively speaking, he doesn't have much.
I mean, in real
Just
life,
quick
if you get shot
perspective,
twice, you're not exactly
the lowest
doing
bullet
jumping
amount
jacks.
of damage. Graham can only take 1 more than Dave can.
that's still one more than I can take.
Well, right, it's 1 more, but all things considered, that's not a huge difference. He can take 1 more.
Graham, do you have like a plan for your character progression? Out of curiosity.
Yeah.
What are you sort of looking at? Like, how are you building your guy out? Like, when you get the next level, or the next chance to buy something.
Well, I kind of I was kind of spreading my points into like that's why I have like a little bit in medicine, and a little bit in survival, and a little bit in gambling.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more of a flavor thing. It's kind of how I do all my characters.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't really look at it in any particular mechanical way at all. I just kind of look at it the way I feel.
Or where do you feel your character's lacking right now?
That's the thing. That's what's so baffling about this. Is I don't think about it that way.
Okay. I guess that's where we sort of
Yeah.
come in and think in different ways. So yeah,
Like,
if you could,
like this conversation is like
I'm sort of with
Yeah.
Graham on this.
it makes no
You
sense
like the
because it's like
character.
I'm
You
basically
enjoy what
looking
you're
at the
doing.
list of talents and stuff, and like, well, that sounds like something Apollo would take. I don't care. Not going to look at what it is because it doesn't. It shouldn't really matter. It shouldn't matter. And so I just kind of took it. Like knockout blow and lethal blow are things I took because they make sense.
yeah. Oh, you know,
And that's it. That's the only
in terms
reason.
of like my character, like the Total Recall, perfect for him. It
Sure,
suits
fine.
his character perfectly. And I'm not sure what I'd do with those extra 15 XP now that calculated defense
Yeah.
doesn't work. So
Can't you just switch out?
Giant.
Well, you could take it from the Graham book and get something that just makes sense for your character. Like you've got a really strong
didn't have
character
to.
design.
It didn't have to do anything.
You don't have to worry so much about the mechanics. I'm not the kind of GM who's going to sit here and be like, I put a +3 ogre in front of you guys, and you
Look,
fuckers don't have the AC
I get
for
that.
it. so
I
you're
get that,
fucking dead.
wreckage, but I've been in situations where it's like I spent weeks working a character only to have it die on the first session because the
Yeah, but
GM's changed his mind.
That's not Spencer.
I get that, but
That's
I
not
still
me
do
either.
it every time. I still make my first level character
Then Dave,
survivable.
try it with this guy. Dump the 15 points into bumping up your dexterity or defense skills, and just there's something that'll actually make you a little bit more tougher, and then you shouldn't have to worry about this too much.
Hmm.
Or dump it into something totally bullshit like poetry, and then still not worry about it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I did.
Put it in.
I got stealth, man. What the hell am I gonna be doing with stealth?
Oh, that'll probably
Put
come
it-
up.
put it-
Does
put
anybody
it
else
all-
have stealth? I don't think
Put
so.
it all, Dave.
Oh,
put it
yeah.
all in. Put it all in driving that you can't use because you can't drive.
Ooh, because your busted leg is the one that works to stick to your shaft.
You were a really good driver before the accident, and so that's where all those points came from.
Hell yeah.
You know what? I'll have to look through the book again, to be honest with you guys.
Actually, you know what I envision if he's got points in drive, and his foot is the foot that he would use. Like it's what is it, your right foot, and it would be the foot that he would use to work the pedal.
Yeah, it's
I
the right
imagine
foot,
some
yeah.
crazy system by which one of his hands is using his cane to operate the
yeah.
pedals.
No, you used your cane for the gear for the clutch, and used your foot for the gas and brake.
Oh, no, it's the right foot, so it'd be the other way around.
Oh, well, okay. Then use the other, whichever leg's broken. Use the other side for the cane. That'd be
Anyway,
hilarious. All right.
I'm actually feeling pretty good about this, having discussed it. We're gonna remove dropping, or we're gonna drop taking the average. That is a
Cool.
sentence I was attempting. We're going to look at the talents that let you supplement your defense or your attack for other stats, and we're going to see if there's a mathematical way to make them useful but not overpowered.
Yeah.
That's going to take the week, so I can't tell you right now how that's going to go.
Now,
Yeah.
for the first aid, we're going to be using, because I know my character has like the med kit and all that stuff,
Uh-huh.
and it says it has 5 uses. So the med kit's just going to
Perfect.
turn into a +2 first aid, and then once you use it once, and then bam.
So
Sort of
no.
deal?
So what it's going to be is the med kit and medical supplies in general are going to turn into a resource that is spent for instantaneous healing.
Okay, cool.
And
Like-
that's going to supplement the fact that we've taken the average on defense rolls, which means that in some situations you guys are just going to get nuked out of nowhere, but it won't be a problem because you won't be out of the fight for 3 weeks all of a sudden.
Okay, cool.
And I think I'm going to take a look at this med kit thing. It might end up something where your medicine roll perhaps lets you get more out of X supplies. If you have something that is technically 5 uses, a really good roll means you get another extra use out of it, or whatever. Something like that. It might end up being that might end up being the form that takes, or we may just go with a static number of uses, and the roll determines how well you heal. And which is sort of the standard way that it is now, except for without the uses. Does anybody have any complaints or reservations with what we discussed.
Can I see the table?
Dude, no, Dave. You cannot see any of the tables. You're just gonna freaking.
I
Oh,
know,
we're going to
I
a
know.
desert. Suddenly, my character knows everything about desert.
It was
Like,
a
no, you
joke.
can't see
It was
the
a
table.
joke.
Actually, I could show you those tables. I could show you, but they would just spoil story. They don't actually.
Yeah, no, it was
None
a
of these
joke.
things-
It was a joke. Don't worry about it. It was a
Okay,
Wait,
well, I'm saying, like, even if you could hack my computer and get these tables, all it would do is be like, oh, that is the story element, and not. It's not like one of the things you rolled was, and there's going to be a dog that has a weak point, and this is now you can build your character to beat this dog that's going to be the first boss or something ridiculous.
Actually, what about Rick? What about if you just deleted all the stuff that we actually rolled and then just showed us the rest of it so we could see what we didn't get? Or would that do the same thing?
Nah, don't worry
'Cause
about
I'm
it.
kind of
It's
curious
fine.
as to what some of the stuff.
We'll after it happens or whatever, after the game's over, you
Alright.
can see the table then.
That works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Yeah,
Most of the talents are like just defense and attack swaps. Now that I'm looking at them,
I mean,
Well, that's because they're
like what
Yeah,
it
especially
seems like this
you got-
game is like when I looked at this the first time, it seems like there was a lot of focus on like making min-max characters because of the fact that there are talents in here for every stat to be swapped for another.
the Hollow Earth Expedition system is one of the things that is immediately clear,
Yeah.
having played it a little bit and read the books, is that the people who did it did not have longer campaigns in mind at all. And for a really short 8-session thing with only brief instances of character progression, min-maxing is fine. There's no problem. It's because you're basically, you want to be playing your character pretty much in a done state for a shorter campaign. But even each of the books comes with like a, here's a campaign, and they're all super fucking short.
Yeah.
And by virtue of the fact that each one is really short, and just by looking at some of the language and in general the system's design, you can tell that what they had in mind is shorter campaigns. And with a setting like this and players like this, and from what we wanted, it was pretty clear that we preferred a longer campaign. And some of these house rules are, and looking at some of these talents with a more balanced eye, is all about making sure that we can get a long campaign out of this as opposed to a short one.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I'd like to know what you choose, but yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, everything works for me. How
Like,
are we doing?
I'm looking at all this stuff here, and there's a lot of traits in here that are like mobile attack, like with fancy footwork, and I'm like that fucking that doesn't
Well,
work.
the reason it looks like there's so many of those is
Yeah.
because that you're looking at 6 different abilities, 6 different ability scores.
Yeah.
And if they want to make it so each defense and each attack can be used by a bunch of different defense scores. So you've got 6 times 2 is 12 times
No,
however many more. That's like-
I'm looking specifically at the mobile attack, and it literally says your character excels at fancy footwork and can make accurate and powerful attacks while even moving.
Dave, notice it said foot and not feet, so I
Yeah.
think you could still work with that.
I throw
Yeah.
my limp leg at them, and it kicks them, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't expect that," and then I shoot them.
As a matter of fact, guys, we're coming up on where we would put our next hour break.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're pretty much done unless anybody has a specific rule that they want to ask about, or a specific mechanic they want to ask about, in which case we should just do that before we go
Yeah.
and
I
be
got
done.
a quick question. How are we going to
Sure.
do ammo? We just going to keep track of every individual bullet? Or is
Yeah,
there
that's
some
another
other
question.
faster way?
Since we're not taking the average anymore, does that affect the ammo scores in the game?
No, that doesn't have any effect on the ammo scores in the game, to my knowledge. I usually deal with ammo very vaguely. For
Okay.
example, there was a lot of looting of Nazi weapons and ammunition in our test campaign, and pretty much we only counted clips and not bullets. So for the most part, unless you were using so in the rules there are specific types of fire for automatic weapons, which say that they consume a third of the clip or all of the clip, for example.
Sure.
And so we either did that, where it was like a third of the clip, okay, you can do that 2 more times, or you used all of the clip so it's gone. Or the other thing I did was I basically just, spitballed the entirety of a clip. I mostly dealt with clips. If you have a gun that absolutely does not have a clip, and we get into a situation where ammo may or may not be scarce, then we will be counting bullets if it comes to it. But for the most part, if it's reasonable that you would be finding more ammo, or you're not necessarily cut off from supplies, then for the most part I'm just going to guesstimate. It's not really worth anally tracking.
All right.
I know for a short time in that campaign I had a gun and I never actually kept track of ammo, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think my character starts out with like a shell belt with a 50 slugs and that I paid for, so I figured that'll probably keep me going for a while.
Yeah, it cost me $6 to get 100 bullets. I'm just like, man.
Yeah, I just want to know how anal I should be about keeping track of the bullets. So.
Well, you should keep track of where they are, because you guys could be on a ship that sinks, and if you had your bullets in your bunk, they're gone. Obviously, it's kind of also ridiculous to have 100 bullets in a box on your person. But you may crash in a plane. You have to look for the box of bullets or something. So the bullets will still be a tangible thing. They'll still be important. We won't quibble over the minutia of the exact number that you've used.
Perfect.
But
unless it leads to a really cool scenario. Like, that's the only time that I would ever say you run out of ammo.
Yeah.
I don't know. This bullet looks like it's in bad condition.
I fire it out of my gun.
Click. Fuck.
Yeah.
So that's
it explodes.
Any other questions from anybody?
Nope.
No, I think we got a really good location. I think I'm a little bummed out that my character needs to be reholed, but that's
rehold.
It won't be too bad. Your character is
still
pretty
pretty
how
good.
he is,
Gotta
even
play.
without you've just now gotten 15 bonus experience points. You could dump them into a stat that is totally meaningless, and you'd still be fine.
Yeah.
And if I look at these, I may yet be able to find out that they can be mathematically valuable after all without being overpowered. I can still look at those, and they may come out to something. Again, it'll be something like for every 5 points of intelligence, you get 1 more dice in defense if you have calculated defense.
Yeah. So like, intelligence is super important to my character, mostly because just about all of the skills that my character relies on are intelligence based. So it made sense to me to stat dump into it, just like how I guess Apollo is the same way with his strength. But because I assume all your knockouts and stuff like that are based on strength, right? So. Or body.
It's actually based on dexterity because he does a beautiful little pirouette every time. Pretty nice. So.
Yeah.
But.
So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to leave it here. It's a very short. Jacob, what's up?
I just personally had a couple comments. For one, I'm not actually too affected by the switching to half, because I already had it. Yeah, because I already had an idea for my old character before you told me about the whole bold defense and attack thing. So I can just switch back to that, which means less charisma, more dexterity.
Yeah.
So, and also, I'm going to, since even though I can't really comment too well on the balance of the game, really, I'm going to do some of my own personal research into it this week. Maybe ask some other people who've run long campaigns into it what their thoughts are on some of the stuff that we discussed.
I haven't even heard. I know one other guy, the guy who introduced me to this system, who's run this system. But if you know somebody, go right ahead.
I'll try and see if I can find anything.
Awesome. Well, let me know how you go, because I'd like to know how that works. But your description, Rec, about how it's made for short games makes fucking 100% sense. So, I can understand why you wouldn't want someone to just be like, I pick all the skills that are intelligence-based, and I have all my attack based on intelligence and all my defense based on intelligence, and then all you have to do is just
in a jar and you're invulnerable.
Yeah,
I kill him with my brain.
Because then all you have to do literally is just
pneumatic memory. Thump, thump, thump.
Just every 15 experience, 1 intelligence, please. 1 intelligence, please. And then everything just fucking goes up in a hill with you. So, I mean...
That was also one of my biggest gripes about the
I mean-
D&D 3.5, too, is that you're required to min-max. And it's just like, eh.
Well, I mean,
To a degree,
Uh,
until you get shot in the face.
Dark- yeah. I mean,
Well, this
yeah,
is a good
yeah,
time
we
to
shot
end
in
so
one-
we can get a
shot
nice
in the
little
face in
hour
one
chunk
fucking
out of
one
our thing.
Yeah.
And
salty.
we're all right about everything forever. Yay! It would have been nice to have Curtis here. It would have taken a little bit longer if he was here, and we have a little more content to give. We will be playing next Thursday, and if Curtis is not capable of making his character in time for that, or is not able to join us for whatever reason, then we will have to rethink him being in Hex at least. So we'll see about that.
But,
But
running with
now
4 players isn't so bad, right? I mean, I think it's a
No,
nice
it's
number.
not. No, it's not bad. We would have liked to have him, but if he can't make it, he can't make it.
True that.
But that'll be something that we discuss with him, and we will see how that progresses. For now, thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you hopefully here on Saturday for the next season of Wrath of the Minotaur.
Yeah.
It's actually called Blood
Coolness.
Jews.
Blood Dews, Season 2, Wrath of the Minotaur, Season 2, Blood Dews. So let me get this straight. Is the entire campaign called Wrath of the Minotaur, or is that just the name of Season 1?
The entire campaign's called, like, Ultramar Dominion or something like that. But I argued that I couldn't say it, which I probably butchered it just now.
Graham,
Yeah.
what is it?
That's called the entire rule set and setting, all that kind of exists in my mind as Altuve Demetrion,
Altuve Demetrion, okay.
which has not been marketed as such. It's only been marketed as Wrath of the Minotaur. So
Well, we could call it,
doesn't
it'd be
really
more
matter.
snazzy to call it Demetrion Blood Dews.
So,
Cool.
So you guys might have noticed as well, like the style of how I'm presenting Die Party has changed. We're dropping the webcam thing. There's 2 reasons for it. The first is it allows us to avoid Skype being a tremendous fucking pain in the ass, and the second is it allows us to bring in more players who aren't comfortable showing their webcams, which opens the doorways to a lot of really good role players who just weren't comfortable with the streaming aspect of it, but are comfortable doing the voice stuff. So they're the 2 reasons we did that. Yeah. And plus, we won't get any more glorious shots of Jacob's crotch anymore, which is only a good thing. So.
And you guys can't tell if I'm wearing a shirt or
My
not.
laptop accidentally shifting one time, and oh no, it's only a big deal.
Hey man, I'm pretty sure we saw testes. Just
Oh,
saying.
hey,
I'm
it
sure you
was
didn't see
big
shit.
and it was a deal.
We're gonna get like avatars and stuff for our characters. We're gonna put some creativity into it.
Oh no, Graham sent me one. Frank has sent me one. Jacob, find
Yeah,
a
I
black
said-
and white photo for your character. That's pretty much all you need to do, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
I'll find a
I
black
said
and white
that.
photo for my character, and then it'll just be amazing.
Yeah.
So,
I'll find a black and white character for my GM.
yeah.
It's gonna be like a black and white god or like Sistine Chapel thing, isn't it?
No, just the picture you have now, just grayscale.
There you go.
Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. It's
See
I know
ya.
it's not been a regular session, but we will be starting next week, come hell or high water, regardless. So that'll be at 6 p.m. PST. Or actually, no, scratch that. It might start at 7. It really depends on what my new work schedule is going to be. It's either going to be the same, so either going to be 6 p.m. or it's going to be 7 p.m. It depends on when I get off work. So at the latest, it'll be 7 p.m.
Ooh, now Dave's the one holding us back.
Well,
Not
I
me.
think the new job is 10 through 6 rather than 9 through 5. So yeah.
Gotcha.
So that'll be happening this Saturday, as Rec already mentioned. We'll be playing the second season of Wrath of the Minotaur called Blood Dews, which is myself, Rec, Jacob, and Graham, with Graham being the DM. And that'll be really cool. We got like really cool characters coming up. I haven't seen what Jacob's done with his character, but
Because
I
I
hope
haven't.
You haven't done it
Thursday, I
yet?
think.
Well, you're going to.
No. Oh yeah, we were gonna do it today. Then things
Yeah.
happened. Like I didn't wake up until 2 p.m. But
We can do it now.
You can do it now.
Let's go for 2 more hours. You got
so-
time.
Yeah, that's the plan. We do have an unannounced Die Party show that we'll be taking up a Tuesday slot. That'll show up at some point. Not sure when.
Sometime before the end of this month is the plan. So, and that'll be the Fate system for sure. So
Okay. Well,
if you're fans of the Fate system, put that on your calendars. And by put it on your calendars, I mean write a bunch of question marks all over January.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you haven't given the channel a follow, please do. It really helps me out. We've got a few follows today from people, which has really been helpful. So, yeah. Also, if you want, check out the YouTube channel, which is users/Hensicle. I'm going to have to change that to Henpire because Hensicle makes no fucking sense and people can't spell it. But all the information is below. You can just click on a little button, that'll take you there. That has all the archives for the Die Party stuff, which is over 100 hours of content now. There's some really good stuff in there. I'm trying to get as many eyes as I can onto it, so it's growing steadily, just like this channel is. We will get there eventually. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this session. Tune back in Saturday. I'll probably be playing something after this as well, so if you want to stick around for that, that'd be pretty cool too. Alright guys, we out. Later.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
See ya.